It was, strictly speaking, a drop spoon that accidentally shattered the laws of physics. Silas watched the magnetic utensil tumble toward the deck plate, breaking the space-time continuum one awkward, zero-gravity lunge at a time. High Emissary Lyran didn't flinch. She just stared at the spoon, then at him, her elongated violet-tipped ears giving a sharp twitch. A refusal to speak that spoke volumes and was actively rewriting the local gravity well. The mess hall lights flickered as Silas realized his pulse was loud enough to drown out the station's environmental hum. Truth is, he had been warned. The exact moment Silas Vance transferred to Station Aegis 9, his datapad lit up with 17 automated alerts and 3 furious audio messages from command personnel. The directive was simple. Do not look at High Emissary Lyran of the Kalan. Do not breathe near her, and absolutely, under no circumstances, talk to her. She was royalty from a species that communicated in micro-expressions and molecular shifts. He was a level 4 maintenance tech who fixed ventilation shafts with duct tape and aggressive swearing. For 3 weeks, Silas kept his head down. He ran routine diagnostic sweeps, wiped engine grease off his coveralls, and established a depressing daily habit of eating synthesized nutrient loaf alone at a corner table in the mess hall. Then came the Tuesday she sat down. She didn't announce herself. Lyran simply glided across the crowded room, a towering vision in iridescent ceremonial armor, and folded herself into the bolted-down chair directly to his right. The entire mess hall stopped eating. Silas stopped chewing. Now he didn't dare look up, but he could feel the ambient cold radiating from her plating, the subtle electric shift in air pressure just by her being there. The scent of rain on hot stone drifted from her collar. They sat in agonizing, protocol-breaking quiet for a full 10 minutes. Then he dropped his magnetic gravity spoon. Before Silas could duck under the table, Lyran reached out. Her long, graceful fingers moved with frightening speed, catching the utensil midair. She set it gently on his tray. For a fraction of a second, her smooth, impossibly cool skin brushed the sweat-warm back of his knuckles. A sharp, static shock zipped up his arm, settling deep in his chest. And suddenly, Silas's half-empty coffee cup floated 3 inches off the table, the dark liquid suspended in a perfect sphere. It turned out the silent alien dignitary and the maintenance tech were about to joke their way into an interstellar treaty. Because Silas, terrified and severely lacking a filter, blurted out a terrible pun about plasma conduits to cut the tension. Lyran didn't laugh, but the very tip of her left ear gave a rapid, involuntary flick. That tiny twitch became his obsession. Silas started conducting highly unscientific experiments. He would sit beside her, murmuring awful jokes into his collar, just to watch the elegant geometry of her ears flutter. And every time she reacted, every time that quiet spark flared between them, the station suffered. Localized physics anomalies began manifesting outside Silas's quarters. Heavy iron wrenches hovered in the corridors. Director Thorne caught on fast. The official reprimand was loud, and it ended with a hovering, wildly annoying drone named Protocol Bot Archimedes being assigned to continuously monitor Silas's proximity to the High Emissary. But the damage was already done. Lyran wasn't just sitting next to him anymore. She was leaning in. And on a quiet Thursday cycle, with the drone buzzing furiously overhead, Lyran bypassed every rule of her people. She didn't look at Silas, but her hand moved. She slid a smooth, softly glowing, Kalan emotional projection orb across the scuffed metal surface until it bumped gently against his tray, pulsing with a warm, steady heartbeat of golden light. The orb sat on Silas's cramped bunk for 3 days, humming a quiet golden rhythm that synced perfectly with his own erratic heartbeat. He didn't know what to do with it. He just knew he couldn't stop looking at it. Then came the puzzle. It happened during another agonizingly quiet lunch cycle. Protocol bot Archimedes was buzzing angrily near the ceiling when Liren placed a small metallic disc on the table between them. A holographic bond matrix bloomed upward, a complex, spinning geometry of violet light. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. And Silas, being an idiot with a wrench and a dangerously soft heart, didn't pull away. He reached out. His calloused index finger hovered over the light, trembling slightly. Liren's dark eyes locked onto his, her breath hitching in a way that sounded entirely, wonderfully human. Silas tapped the edge of the matrix. The station screamed. Gravity inverted in Sector 4. The mess hall chronometer started ticking backward. Silas's half-eaten nutrient loaf didn't just float this time. It crystallized into suspended animation. The air grew impossibly heavy, tasting sharply of copper and hot dust. Alarms shrieked through the corridors, deafening and panicked, as Aegis 9's core systems tried and failed to process the sheer energetic weight of a Kalan bond locking onto a human nervous system. Oops, Silas managed to choke out. Liren didn't blink. The tip of her right ear curled inward, a gesture so profoundly intimate that Silas felt a sudden, crushing heat behind his ribs. In fact, the timing couldn't have been worse. 3 decks up, Director Thorne was currently losing a screaming match with the Kalan Diplomatic Council, desperately trying to explain why a maintenance tech was destabilizing their local sector. The heavy blast doors of the council chamber didn't just open. They were forced apart by a localized telekinetic shockwave. Liren strode in, the ambient light literally bending around the edges of her armor. Silas stumbled in right behind her, acutely aware of his grease-stained boots on the pristine deck plate. The hostile shouting died instantly. Liren didn't address the council. She turned entirely to Silas. She projected the spinning erratic bond matrix from her gauntlet, letting the violet light paint his confused face. Then she performed a slow, deliberate dip of both ears, a motion of absolute submission and total claim. Silas Vance, she said. Her voice was like grinding quartz, deep and resonant, vibrating right through the floorboards. It was the first time she had spoken aloud. Oh, the council members collectively stopped breathing. The rigid ancient political structures of the Kalan hadn't just been bent. They had been completely dismantled by a guy who told bad jokes. 4 hours later, they were gone. The shuttle ride to the luminous citadel was silent, but it wasn't cold. Silas sat rigidly in the co-pilot seat, watching the ancient Kalan orbital platform loom in the viewport. It was a massive structure of white metal and starlight. When they walked into the central chamber, spectral projections of Kalan elders circled them, their judging eyes heavy. Silas didn't flinch. He let Liren take his hand. The contrast of her cool, smooth skin against his rough palm grounded him. He closed his eyes and let the bond matrix sink deep. It burned. A sudden, sharp ache ripped through his nervous system, rewriting his synapses, turning a level 4 tech into a living, breathing diplomatic nexus. The physical pain faded fast, replaced by a profound, humming warmth. He could feel her. He could feel the exact moment her anxiety melted into quiet, overwhelming relief. Before they left the citadel, Liren pressed the projection orb back into his hands. It felt heavier now, warm against his skin. Silas activated it. The golden light flared, and a crackling audio recording played over the hum of the shuttle engines. 3 simple words in her beautiful grinding voice. You are mine. When they finally returned to Station Aegis 9, the alarms had stopped. The gravity was completely stabilized, and Silas, holding the hand of a high emissary, finally realized that sometimes breaking the rules was the only way to fix the universe.